And welcome to this special edition of Hannity Countdown to Iowa, the 2024 presidential election. It will kick off in exactly 1 week from tonight. We should have full results from the Republican Iowa caucus next Monday, but don't expect any numbers from Democrats with a very complicated mail-in voting system and the reshuffling of the Democratic Party's primary calendar. We won't get an official tally for months. Now, of course, barring a major trip in fall, Biden will almost certainly be the Democratic nominee. The big question tonight, why? Joe Biden's been a terrible president. His approval numbers show it. They're at record lows. His cabinet doesn't even bother to keep him in the loop on major issues. No one even bothered to tell your president, Joey Biden, that his Secretary of Defense was actually incapacitated in the ICU for several days. Just wondering out loud, what if we had a national emergency or some international crisis and we need our Secretary of Defense? We don't know where he is. Now, I guess it wasn't a concern for the administration since Biden pretty much sleeps, eats, and takes vacations. Occasionally, he'll travel somewhere close to the White House for a short speech delivered from a teleprompter with giant font. He's frail. He's weak. He's incompetent. He's so frail that now his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, is helping the president manage his daily schedule. And this week, Jill Biden is actually sitting down for an upcoming interview on Joe's behalf. And now lately, more often than not, the First Lady also literally has to help her husband, very dazed and confused, walk off a stage after a rare speaking event. We saw this on Friday after Biden's big "I hate Donald Trump, I'll repeat it for the next 11 months" campaign kickoff near Valley Forge. Now, the Biden campaign was trying to use his historic location to draw comparisons to George Washington. Really? Instead, Biden resembled a bitter, angry, aging, confused and dazed politician desperately clinging to power. He, as per usual, demonized MAGA Republicans for the 4 millionth time, obsessed over January 6th for the 5th millionth time, and even bragged about throwing certain rioters in jail. Of course, he had nothing but praise for the violent looters and rioters and arsonists, and in some cases, 24 Americans died and thousands of cops were injured in the summer of 2020. Remember, those were peaceful riots that his own vice president tweeted out a bail fund link for the perpetrators in the Minneapolis case after the police precinct there was burned to the ground. That was so nice of her. We didn't have a commission for the 574 riots in the summer of 2020. Why didn't we have a commission for that? We had a couple of dozen dead Americans. We had billions in property damage, cops pelted with bricks, rocks, bottles, Molotov cocktails, 2,000 plus cops injured. No investigative anything? Nothing? No arrests? We have all the evidence. Why aren't we arresting those people? Now, sadly, today, more on the same vitriol in South Carolina, where Biden used the site of a horrific 2015 mass shooting to further vilify his political opponents. Now, make no mistake, the Biden campaign, all they have to sell is fear, hatred, and loathing. That's all they have. They have nothing else to offer. Take a look.
Donald Trump's campaign is about him, not America, not you. Donald Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past, not the future. Trump's assault on democracy isn't just part of his past. It's what he's promising for the future. He's being straightforward. He's not hiding the ball. Trump's not concerned about your future, I promise you. Trump is now promising a full-scale campaign of revenge and retribution. The same movement that throughout the mob, the United States Capitol isn't just trying to rewrite history, January 6th, they're trying to determine to erase history and your future. Banning books, denying your right to vote and have it counted, destroying diversity, equality, inclusion all across America, harboring hate and replacing hope with anger and resentment.
Democracy in peril. Trump, MAGA Republicans, January 6th, abortion, identity politics, fear-mongering. That's all you're going to hear from the Democratic Party and their surrogates and their willing accomplices in the media mob from now until Election Day in November. Biden has given up on his fake pledge to fight for the soul of our nation. Instead, he's looking to divide and conquer. He's actually adopted the Eric Holder strategy of they go low, kick them. That's his style of campaigning. or at least that's what the Democratic Party's trying to do. Now, Joe barely knows what day of the week it actually is, and will spend most of the upcoming year in his basement or in the White House basement or on the beach somewhere resting and relaxing. But so far, it's not working for Joe Biden. Voters remain angry at their president. Look at these polls. The president is down in nearly every single swing state in the country. And now two of the biggest Trump haters in America are reportedly freaking out. That would be former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama. They apparently are getting very, very nervous. According to the Washington Post, during a meeting at the White House, quote, Obama grew animated discussing the 2024 election and the former president. Donald Trump's potential return to power scares him. And meanwhile, Michelle Obama expressed her fears on a recent podcast. Take a look for yourself.
What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted. You know, the fact that people think that government, does it really even do anything? And I'm like, oh my God, does government do everything for us? And we cannot take this democracy for granted.
And I took her at her word. For the first time in her adult life, she actually was proud of her country. What happened? Now, the government does everything for us? Really? Now, the Obamas are completely out of touch. We know that, but they are right to worry about Joe Biden's political chances. The Biden White House has mismanaged pretty much everything. The Afghanistan withdrawal, the disaster that is our border, the attacks in the Middle East, war in Europe, Bidenomics, inflation. Is there anything that's going well? Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? What drives elections? Peace and prosperity? Okay, well, the world's not so peaceful. Joe Biden's getting bullied by China, Russia, Iran, and seemingly everybody else. And on prosperity, 60% of our fellow Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Democrats have done great damage to the democratic process, despite their melodramatic, pleas to save democracy and their Nazi analogies. They're the ones ripping Republicans off the ballot without any due process. Now, that's a pretty innovative way if you really want to save democracy. And they're the ones attempting to jail their chief political rival in an election year. Again, they don't care about democracy. This is a slogan. This is a political strategy. All they really want at the end of the day is power. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.